Okay, so we bought a boat. A 1977 Crestliner Crusader, almost 22 feet, cutty crab and cruiser. I didn't know anything about the boat. I was sitting at the house a few days before the auction closed and got a notification on my phone that this is a boat I might like. And turns out eBay was not incorrect. So we got on here, started looking at the pictures. And you can see she's old. 46 years if I'm doing math okay. But when we really went through the pictures, there's not anything that jumped out at me as far as damage is concerned. And even from the pictures I could see that the vinyl, while aged, is not really even torn up or cracked or dry rotted. Carpet looks pretty good while vintage. It has a cabin, all this good stuff. We can see that it's got an OMC 235, so that's 235 horsepower. This is an old 351 Windsor motor that had been in the marine craft for a lot of years, decades as a matter of fact. So not heard terrible things about that, but I knew when I saw the print on the cushions in the cabin that the boat was going to have to be mine. All jokes aside, the bid was $26 when I saw it, when I got the alert. And I said, hey, I'll bid 10 times that amount. So I put in a max bid at $260 and just let it go. I really was not paying any attention to the auction. And when I won, I was surprised. I thought, no way would I be the high bidder on this boat at that particular amount. But I won. It was about 4.5 hours away from me in North Texas. I'm in the South Austin area. So called the wife, rented an Airbnb. We went up and made an event out of it, and we had a great time going to get the boat. And I'll show that here in the video, but I really wanted to just give a little bit of indication as to how we got here and how we ended up with this boat. And so hopefully the 202 is indicative of something that's worth the investment. We have still a lot of things yet to see, but here goes. All right, so the very first stop we made with the new boat is Discount Tire. The tires were from 2008, and one of them clearly had an object in it. So we limped it over here. But so far, first impressions, it's got a little bit of project work to it, but this thing is in way better shape than I thought it would be. I'm actually pretty well astounded. Got a few extras from the owner as well, which was the nicest gentleman I've met in a long time. But for $202.50, I gotta say, not so bad. The cost of the tires probably triple the cost of the boat, but if you got to tow it a few hundred miles with your kids, nothing wrong with peace of mind on that. So far, really blown away at how clean this thing is. The only thing was this support here, and this is the only bit of rust that I've found on it. So this will have to be replaced. It's just cut out and replaced, but I don't think that'll be too bad. Anyway, more to come. All right, so day 2, I guess, of boat ownership, and we're still out at our Airbnb in Pilot Point, Texas, but came out. I was looking the trailer over. Now, I didn't get to film this part, but this was something pretty easy and probably not worth filming. Standard 4-wire system for the brake lights. It had a cylindrical 4-pin plug, which none of my vehicles have. So I've got to go into a 4-pin flat into the 7-pin converter, which then can go into the back of the Land Cruiser. Tested. Everything works. Had to swap one of the brake lights because it was busted. But anyway, looking it over, and something that was hard to tell in the ad, right, but you can definitely tell here, is that this particular fender well is pushed over pretty far, and it just doesn't leave much room for those tires to traverse, and it's a pretty sharp metal. So I'm faced with a decision, which is try to even this up so that I can have a little bit of wheel travel, or I've got to remove the fender altogether for the time being. Obviously, pretty limited on tools, but I'm thinking maybe, and if I look at this, it looks like that is just sagging, right? Like maybe that weld broke, or maybe it wasn't that good to start with. So I think what I'll do is place a jack here. Just take the jack from the Land Cruiser and lift this side of it up, and then put some pressure on the front side and just see if I can bend it back into place. I have my concerns about how that's going to go, so we might just be taking it off, and it doesn't look like it'd be that bad. It's 4 bolts. Obviously not ideal, but shouldn't be too bad. I'll do my best to film it. I'm by myself this morning, so let's see what we can do with no tripod. You can see our new light back here, and it was just something we had to hurry up and do because we wanted to be legal on the road. Okay, we'll try the jack and I will report. Okay, so we placed a jack underneath it, got it lifted up, and it's just a little bottle jack, but it's what I have. Now you can see it made a big difference, but I have a feeling it's just that pressure that I have on it. And you can see it wanted to bend back at least, but I don't think it's going to stay. I think when I relieve that pressure, it's just going to come back down. But same thing over here. If it just stays higher, I'm okay with that, but I don't think it will. I think it's the force from the jack keeping it up off the tire, or at least further away from the tire. So this may be something when we get it back to kind of use the Bobcat or something and push this fender back where it goes. But it does look bent, so we'll give it a shot up front and see if that helps, and if it doesn't, we'll just have to remove the fender for the drive home. Okay, 4 bolts later, got the fender well removed, and it sucks for the way home because it's undoubtedly going to throw some rocks, but I think we'll survive that. It's a little bit better than having 2 tires being blown out because they got cut. So we'll look forward to fixing this part of the trailer. All right, good to go. So one thing I wanted to do is really get kind of a close-up. We've been looking at this thing to see, you know, what we could do. If it turns out mechanically, structurally fine, a little bit of beatification couldn't hurt. And you see we've got some yellowing plastic here. Some of this chrome trim is a little bit bumped up, but I think you expect that over 46 years. Overall, it appears to be in really good condition, the fiberglass included. This is really, I think, the only spot that I've seen that's got some cracking, but I have a feeling that can be repaired. It appears to be just a surface crack. But coming around back here, I think this will be interesting. I think this is what's known as a stringer drive. I'm not really too sure though. But you can see this is all original stuff. It's the OMC 235. So everything matches. The old man said he had had some work done to it at some point, had gotten a new prop at some point. He said everything else is pretty much original. So again, everything else looks really good. And so beyond the paint looking like shit, and there's a little bit of a, you know, pinstripe or whatever that's coming apart, but that can come off. Really pretty well impressed. And then when you look at, say, the, you know, the polish up here, or I'm sorry, the trim, you can see some pitting and stuff, but it's all pretty solid. So I think with a little bit of polishing, or a lot bit of polishing, you know, this could actually look pretty good. I think the other thing we noticed is we lost some, we lost a little bit of caulk holding this window in, both of them actually. So hopefully they make them home. They make it home, but I'm not going to rip them out to find out. Okay, let's take a look at the inside. All right, so here's the view of the inside. Now, we'll explain some of this stuff in here. I didn't have a screw for the spare, so it's back here. The gentleman that sold us the boat also had some wooden skis, and I would venture to say that these are from the 60s or 70s. We got a slalom ski and just a pair of wood skis. And who am I to say no? Because I laughed. You know, he was like, I don't have a boat. What I do with skis? The guy was 86, and he was ready to part with some stuff. So one of the things that he also gave us was, I guess this would be like a little trailer dolly. It's electric. He said it works great. Who knows when that'll come in handy for us. And then moving on, and I'll get a little bit closer here in a second, but you can see where I put the fender well. I had to stick it somewhere for the ride. The front of the boat looks in pretty good condition. But let me walk down and we'll get a little bit closer. So aside from it being filthy, which happens when it sits for 12 years at least, all that aside, look how clean these seats are. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I say clean, but how intact they are is what I guess I should say. So there's some discoloration up here. Again, I think you expect that that's going to happen. And the instrument panel, you can see is, well, it's a heavy dew this morning, so that's what you see on the outside of it. But that the little trim paper is coming off, but we can handle that. But here's all the lights and horn and blower switches. Right, here's your tag. We'll show the cabin here. I'll try not to kill myself with this fender. But you can see even this, there's something vintage about it. I wish we could clean it. But this is like a shag. Well, I don't know if shag is the right word, but it's a very fluffy material on the sides and the ceiling. But still very cool. Now what we didn't get is, I assume there's a piece that goes in the center here that you could make this like a full bed. You can't see it because the fender well is in the way, but there's a place for a post. But I think this is going to be really neat. I think a little bit of money, a little bit of TLC, this thing could go a long way. So that's it. I think we'll try to do a video when we want to clean this thing up, because I think that's going to be pretty dramatic just looking at how dirty it is. So we'll look forward to seeing you on that one. If you've been following us, sorry for the wait, but you know, life gets busy, yet I still find more projects. Thanks for watching. Okay, so we got the boat home. Everything looks good, except for this. If this doesn't look right, it's because it isn't. You can see that this broke and bent, and now this sticks almost up in the air, so barely made it.